Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to my Swords of Legend Slayer Overlord guide. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll appreciate it truly. And I'll be referencing Wind Cleaver as LMB and Cloud Ripper as RMB. Thank you. So the first couple of skills I'd like to go over is our LMB and our RMB, as they're very crucial to our DPS. Whenever we use LMB, we build our strike gauge. Every time you use LMB, you get a static value of 4, 6, and 9 for a total of 19 unless you crit. If you don't crit, it becomes 4, 6, and 9. When you do crit, the value do change, but it's very inconsistent as to what the values change to, as you just saw. Now, doing LMB by itself is really slow. And for that, you would want to speed it up by using the glyph called Dense Force. What Dense Force does is every single time you use RMB, it speeds up the animation of LMB. So for example, RMB and then the next 3 swings are fast, as opposed to it being at this speed. The next skill I'd like to go over is Return of the Wolf. Return of the Wolf summons 3 phantoms, and if the initial wolf connects or if the follow-up attack lands, you'll get 30 strike. What's the follow-up attack? The follow-up attack is Wolf Strike. So whenever you press Return of the Wolf, you see here that's highlighting for it to be pressed again. That button is now Wolf Strike. Now, there's something that you can do here to make this animation faster, because if you try to do them back to back, it's really slow. So what you can do is you can anti-cancel. You can anti-cancel this skill by using Meteor Shower. Meteor Shower is our approach skill. You want to use it whenever you get into a boss, or close a gap, whenever. But in this instance, you can use it to anti-cancel. So for example, the animation is done instantaneously. The animation is done instantaneously, and you're able to continue your rotation flawlessly. Now, the next skill I want to get into is Killing Without Trace. Killing Without Trace summons 4 phantoms, and it's an iframe. Now, you want to make sure you're using this with the Astral Blessing Traceless Phantom. The regeneration of strikes when casting Killing Without Trace is increased to 30 points. The next Cloud Ripper within 10 seconds is a 4-layer charge. So this is really good to use right before you start a fight. So for instance, right before you start a fight, you want to have enough time to prepare. What do I mean? You want to use this skill with Wolf, charge your R&B, approach, let go, Wolf Strike, gather your phantoms, and then continue your rotation. You get into your burst, but I'll get into that later into the video. The next skill on the list is Solar Rider. This is mainly used to keep the tempo of our DPS going, making our rotation consistent. You want to make sure you're using the Astral Blessing Sun Shooting style. This reduces the cooldown of both Windbreaker, Wine, and Overlord by 2 seconds per use. Now, our goal is to get 45 strike points to activate our next blessing, Astral Blessing, Scary Sky. If the charge of Cloud Ripper causes damage to the target, the damage is increased by up to 20% depending on the number of strikes used. If the number of charged strikes exceeds 55, the damage increased by an additional 24%. Torrent Clouds can take effect. What is Torrent Clouds? When deducting the damage after using the charged Cloud Ripper, the consumed strikes are treated as the ones actually consumed plus 10. All of that is saying is, once you have 45 strike, it's technically 55. And then the 24% damage will be applied. Okay? Also, the 24% damage is being applied differently. So for instance, at 55, you get the 24%. And it will do a set number of damage. Depending on your gear, it will do a set number of damage, right? But the more strike that you have, the more damage it will do. So I want to make sure that's clear, because this is important information for when we get to our next 2 skills, which are Windbreaker, Wine, and Overlord. To get Overlord is really straightforward. All you got to do is just select it down here under the Astral Blessings. Really straightforward. Now, when Windbreaker is activated, our attack speed, both LMB and RMB, are increased for 20 seconds. Whenever Overlord is activated, multiple things start to occur. It doesn't list everything. It says it very vaguely. You can press Alt to try to get more information, but it's not all there. All the information is not there. So of course, the first thing you get is you get your 5 stacks of Overlord buff, which lasts 25 seconds. Great. You get your 15% damage boost to your R&B. Amazing. And it gives you a layer 4 charge of R&B, which does more than layer 3. Also amazing. Right. What is confusing about this skill? It's a little tricky. since it doesn't state it, it doesn't specifically state it, it kind of vaguely says it. Whenever you use Overlord, let me get to Zero Strike. Whenever you use Overlord, your cloud gauge, your strike gauge, excuse me, goes to 100 instantly. If you use R&B, it is depleted and it goes into the next stack. So at 5 stacks, it's at 100. At 4 stacks, it starts going up by 40. At 3 stacks, it starts going up by 30. At 2 stacks, it starts to go up by 20. And then at 1 stack, it starts to go up by 10s. It's a little confusing, but it's once you get it, you got it. I promise. You have to believe me. Now we go back to Windbreaker because this is where our DPS starts to shine. You want to make sure you're using this in conjunction with Supping from the River. In the Windcleaver state, Windcleaver damage is increased by 20% and you also receive 100% strikes. The damage of Cloud Ripper increases by 20% and its charge speed is increased. You also want to use this with the glyph Change in Nature. In the Windbreaker state, all strikes are consumed automatically after reaching the maximum strikes and 3 phantoms arise. This way you can receive a phantom up to 2 times per Windbreaker state. So, because of how the glyphs works, how the Change of Nature glyph works, and how Supping from the River, the Astral Blessing works, how those two work together, you want to continue using LMB until you get the gauge filled. What do I mean? So, when you use Overlord and Windbreaker, it's going to consume the gauge automatically. So I'm at 100, I consume it with Windbreaker, I get 6. Now, that's if you wait it out. Clearly, you're not going to use both your buffs and just sit there, right? That doesn't happen. So what you want to do would be this. So while you're under the Overlord buff and the Windbreaker buff, in total you want to use 8 LMBs to get the gauge up between 98 to 100. This depends on how fast you do this because this is Pingerland at this point, and this is where you start doing big damage and have to monitor your count of your LMB clicks, and your rotation comes into play here big. But what do I mean by 8 LMBs? The reason why you want to do 8 LMBs is because of the Overlord buff and how it works. We're going to go back to the fact that whenever you press Overlord, you get 100 at 5 stacks. At 4 stacks, you get 40. At 3 stacks, you get 30. At 2 stacks, you get 20. And at the last stack, stack 1, you get 10. With Windbreaker, remember, with the Astral Blessing, you're getting the increasing damage and speed. But with the glyph, Change in Nature, you're getting the 2 times per Windbreaker state. So this summons 6 phantoms. This summons 6 phantoms, and by the time it starts regenerating, as you saw in the demonstration, by the time it starts regenerating, you're going to be about 90 or 100 after you do the 8 LMBs. Now, after the first rotation, you want to do 2 LMBs. On the third rotation, you're going to want to do 3 LMBs. I'm going to show you how this all works. So I'm going to show you the full rotation right here. I slowed down the video here a little bit so you can see what's going on before the rotation starts. Of course, this is the setup part. And then after you do the setup and you initiate a meteor shower, you want to go into 8 LMBs. After you do the 8 LMBs, you do R&B into Solo Rider, 2 LMBs, R&B, Solo Rider, 3 LMBs, R&B, Solo Rider again, 4 LMBs, R&B, Solo Rider, 5 LMBs into R&B. And then now here I have about 2 to 3 seconds left on Windbreaker, and I try to do 4 LMBs into R&B again, and then the rotation just continues from there. Now as you saw there, towards the end of my burst, I had about 2 to 3 seconds left on Windbreaker. 3 seconds is ideal, but if you get 2 to 3, it's fine. This again depends on your ping at this point. So if you're able to get 3 seconds, that's great. The reason why you want to have this much is because you want to be able to get at least 4 LMBs in. so that you can squeeze in a 6 R&B and continue the rotation. And after you get the 6 R&B in, you be able to get into the you may get into the Solar Rider rotation. Now, there's multiple ways to do this. The two ways that I find most ideal, I'll call them simply the DPS variant and then the restoring your edge variant. Remember, edges are an important resource. You have to be able to manage it well. So here I'll show you the DPS variant and then the restoration variant. But remember, you have to use both of these in conjunction with each other. You have to constantly switch between them while you're doing your filler rotation until your burst comes back. This is the DPS variant. And this is the restoration variant. Now, to go over the other skills, here you have your block, which reduces incoming damage with 20% and makes you immune to CCs. You have your Wolf Journey, it's basically a mount. You got Swift Swallow, which slows down their target, reduces their healing, pretty straightforward. Water Diversion, this is a 3-second stun. Eat the World, this is a great button to reduce damage, so if the tank loses aggro or you're about to die, you got mobs on you, this is a great button to press. This is your tab escape essentially. You get 2 charges of these. So if you ever CC'd, you can press this in the air, daze, stun, frozen, whatever you might be. You can always press that. You got your interrupt skill. Again, use this whenever you see the blue bar on the boss after you knock him down. This actually is really great to use, surging short. You kind of want to use this off CD because it has a high smash golden, which is the yellow bar underneath the bosses. You want to use it as often as possible. It's a 45-second cooldown. You want to use it as often as possible. And then it also provides a 6-second stun. So if he's knocked down and is up, you can use it to extend the buff, extend the duration that the boss is knocked down for. Blade Echo, this skill, you really don't want to touch this skill. It's your party res because the resources, they're shared. So although this does give you 10%, you lose the ability to res sometime in your party. If somebody dies, you want to save that resource in case somebody does die. If they don't, if you know you're running to a party and you know you guys are going to clear without anybody dying, you can use it, of course, but it's really important to save this as a just in case. The next skill here is Blade Start, Gleaming Blade Start. This skill is after you knock them down, after the boss is knocked down or whatever, you use this. But I don't recommend using it because it's a really, really long animation and you lose so much DPS while just sitting there and doing all this animation lock. It's not worth it. It looks pretty. It definitely looks pretty, but it's not worth. Meteor Shower, I mentioned a couple times throughout the video. It has 2 charges, your approach skill, your disengage skill. You can use it to retreat however you want to. You also have Wind Gliding. Again, this skill is also movement. Don't use it for DPS. Use it for strictly movement. It's not even worth. I don't even have it on my bar. This skill is really niche. It's probably like one of the worser skills that we have, but you know, it's fine. And the last thing that I didn't go over is this glyph right here, Cloud Riding. This increases the generation of your edge by 2 points. Naturally, it's 5. With this, it makes it 2, so you're getting 7 every single time. Every second, you're getting 7. So, that one is a lot better. And one thing I do want to show off is these 2, I guess, tips. So, before you start a fight, any boss fight, as long as you're not in combat, you can do this. You can turn off change in nature and put this glyph in. And this glyph, what it does is it gives you 2 charges of Overlord. And basically, you can just use this, get the charge, and then just remove it. And now the actual Overlord is off cooldown, the one you want to use to burst, and it gives you 100 strike. So that's a really good tip to have because this just makes it easier. So if you get into a boss fight and you have like 20 or 0 strike, it's just a lot easier to just get in there and kill it off. Another cool little tip is right before you start the fight, if you're communicating with your party, your team, and they're willing to wait or give you the extra time so you can set up real quick, because if you're able to set up, you be able to do more DPS. And this one is really nice. It's really niche, but it's really cool. If you're in Discord call, you can communicate with your friends, and you have another person tanking. This is really good. So you just switch the Astral Blessing from Sun Shooting style to Swallow Hunt style, and you're able to summon 5 of these. So you summon 5 phantoms. And remember, these phantoms, they last up to 10 seconds. You switch right back. You summon these. You summon your wolf. You get ready. They go in. You tank. And you start DPSing. So you get more damage in. It's just something neat. You know, something nice to do. If you liked the video, let me know. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any feedback, I would appreciate it truly. Let me know how I did. I haven't made a guide for MMO in quite some time. I think it was about 5 years ago. So yeah, if you liked the video, let me know how I did. Give me any feedback. It's all welcome. It's all appreciated. And hopefully this helps any Slayer that's out there. So yeah, till next time. Later.